Welcome to day number 9 of the free TradeLikeVu bootcamp, where we are going to talk about one of the most important psychological topics in trading, which is your identity. Okay, listen very, very carefully, because this topic is so important. Okay, it's actually the basics and the foundation of your whole trading psychology. And let me explain to you. So, identity, okay? This bootcamp, or like this whole trading journey, this whole trading career of yours, is about making you long-term consistently profitable, right? I want you to stand on your own feet. I want you to be able to become a profitable trader by yourself, so you're not dependent on anyone, okay? You don't need a strategy, you don't need an indicator or whatever. I want you to learn fishing by yourself, okay? Let's take this analogy. I want you to learn fishing by yourself and not me giving you the fish, okay? I want you to learn fishing, trading by yourself. And in order to, become a profitable trader, the first thing you need to do is you need to shift your identity, okay? What does that mean? So, the current version of yourself is not able to become a profitable trader, okay? Otherwise, you would already be profitable and you wouldn't be here, okay? That is a matter of fact, and I don't want to insult you, so don't get me wrong. It's just that the current version of yourself is not able to become a profitable trader for a reason, okay? Because there's a identity mismatch, and this is very, very important, so listen carefully. What is an identity mismatch? An identity mismatch is the version of yourself and the version of you reaching that goal that you want. So, for example, becoming a profitable trader is too different, okay? So the discrepancy between the version of you as a profitable trader and your current version is just too far away, okay? So there's the gap between those two versions is just too big. And in order to make that gap smaller or even completely delete that gap, you need to shift your identity, okay? So you need to basically delete this gap in your identities, okay? And how do you actually do that? So in order to become a profitable trader, okay, or in order to do anything or to become anything that you want in life, there's a basic foundational concept which can be applied to any area of life, which is first you have to be, then you have to do in order to have, okay? So being, which is basically your identity, okay, your current identity and your goal, or your specific goal identity, right? Then the next is doing, okay, which is like building good habits, which reinforces your goal identity, right? And the third and last thing is having, okay? So first you be, then you do in order to have, okay? So if you want the 5-figure payouts, for example, that every profitable trader has, you first have to be a profitable trader. You have to do the things that a profitable trader does every single day in order to have or get the payouts that you want, okay? That is very simple. That sounds very simple, but it's actually one of the hardest things in trading and the most common reason why 99% of all traders out there are unprofitable, because they have a big identity mismatch. The gap between their goal identity, which is being a profitable trader, and their current identity, their current self, is just too big, right? And that's why most of the traders out there will never make it. Most of the traders out there are giving up somewhere on the road to the goal, because they cannot fill the gap between their current identity and their goal identity, right? Which is being a profitable trader. So there's a very, very good quote that I want to tell you, which you may already know, and it sounds like this: fake it until you make it. Okay, that is a very good quote and a very good piece of advice, because at first it maybe sound weird to you, but the thing is, if you fake it until you make it, you will force your current identity, you will force your current self to get out of that comfort zone towards, like, you take more steps towards your goal identity, right? So what you basically do is, for example, every single night or every single evening when you go to sleep, what do? You lay down in bed, right? You close your eyes and you act like you would sleep, right? So basically what you're doing is you fake you're sleeping, right? And what happens is after 5 or 10 or 15 minutes or whatever, you actually fall asleep, right? So what did you just do? You just faked and tried to convince your brain that you are asleep, right? And after 5 or 10 minutes, your brain accepted that fact and you actually fell asleep, right? That's a very, very good analogy to showcase you that the quote, fake it until you make it, is really, really true. Because as I said, every single day when you go to sleep, every single evening when you go to sleep, you actually fake it, right? You fake it, you lay down, you close your eyes and fake you're sleeping until you actually fall asleep. And that is a very, very good example. So, and the exact same concept you need to apply to trading, okay? So in order to become a profitable trader, you first have to be a profitable trader yourself, okay? And in order to reinforce that identity, you have to do the things that every profitable trader does on every single day basis, right? Which is like journaling, okay? Which is following the rules no matter what, okay? Which is thinking in probabilities, okay? Which is never break your rules, never revenge trade, never overtrade, always stick to your risk management, okay? And don't care about the outcome at all, okay? That is what profitable trader do every single day, right? So that is the concept of being, doing, and having, okay? So what I would recommend you to do is just do, or just try to build the good habits that all the profitable traders have, right? And that will reinforce actually your future identity of a profitable trader, right? That will slowly fill the gap between your current self and your goal identity as a profitable trader. And that will also lead you to that will also lead you to deleting or like replacing your bad habits by actually good habits, right? And that will become a good cycle of repetition. You will always repeat that, right? And finally, the end goal is to become a profitable trader, right? So that is the topic of your current identity mismatch, and yeah, how you actually fill that gap between your current self and your future profitable trader version of you, right? So the reason you currently break your rules and you revenge trade and you overtrade and you jump from one strategy to another strategy is that you cannot accept losses, okay? As soon as you hit one loss, or as soon as you hit a couple of losses, you think that your strategy is broken. You think that you need another better strategy with a higher win rate, right? And that's when you start jumping strategies. That's when you start revenge trading. That's when you start taking trades that you shouldn't be taking because they do not stick to your rules, because they do not follow your rules, right? And that happens because your current self, your current ego, can't bear the pain of taking that loss. It can't take the pain of being wrong, right? And let me explain to you why that is so important to understand is, listen, we are all human, right? And we as humans, we hate to be wrong because we always want to be right, okay? For example, if you are wrong with anything that you say, okay, let's just assume that you have a discussion with your friend or whatever, okay, and he proves that you are wrong. How do you feel? You feel bad, right? You feel bad because he proved that he was right and he proved that you were wrong. So your ego kind of feels attacked, right? Your identity kind of feels attacked. So your emotions start to rise. You get a little bit angry. You get a little bit upset because your friend won the discussion against you, right? And that makes you a little bit yeah, attacked, right? Your ego is attacked, your identity is attacked, yeah, and you feel a little bit angry, yeah, angry, upset, because your identity is at threat. You feel at threat, right? So you start getting angry, you start getting emotional, right? And where does that come from? As I said, so we as humans, we don't like to be wrong at all. We always want to be right, okay? Because if we are right, our identity, our ego feels strengthened, okay? Feels reinforced by being right, right? So in order to become a better trader, a profitable trader, or in general, just become a better person overall, you need to detach your ego and detach your identity from the outcome, okay? Let's take the trading example, okay? Every time you enter a trade, which was your A+ setup, you need to detach the outcome of that trade from your ego, from your identity, okay? So whatever happens to that trade, whether it loses, whether it wins, whether it will be a break even, you should not care about it, because in the first place, you followed all your rules, and that is the one and single most important thing that you need to think about in trading, okay? So as long as you followed your rules, it is irrelevant what the outcome is, okay? Even if that was the best A+ setup that you ever saw in your life, that trade still loses, you have to feel the same way as if it has won, right? So in order to detach your ego and detach your identity from the markets, you just have to think long term, think in probabilities, okay? Stop thinking about one single outcome of one single trade, because that doesn't matter at all, okay? And yeah, just detach your ego and detach your identity from every outcome in your life, okay? It doesn't matter, because you have done everything that you can control. You can control the markets, you can control what the trade will be doing, right? You just can control if you enter the market, like according to all your rules, you did, right? So if you did that, you did everything that was in your control, and the rest is to the markets, the rest is to God, or whatever bigger force you are believing in, right? And yeah, that's basically it, right? So what you actually need as a profitable trader is discipline without ego. What does that mean? That means that you need to detach your ego and your identity from the markets, okay? Whatever happens in the markets, or whatever does not happen in the markets, you should not take it personally, okay? Never take something that happens in the markets personally, okay? The market is not attacking you and only you. Whenever the market stops you out, it doesn't mean that, okay, the market was only hunting for your stop loss, right? You need to think about it as just following your rules, okay? That is the only single goal in trading, and that is what most people don't understand, because they make trading so complicated. Trading is only about following your rules, not more, not less, okay? It doesn't matter what the outcome of one single trade is. It doesn't matter what you think in that moment when you enter the trade. It doesn't matter how you feel when you enter the trade. The only thing that matters is if you have followed all your rules, yes or no. If yes, it's a win, regardless of the outcome, regardless if the trade wins, loses, or is a break even, okay? The same goes for the same goes for your feelings, okay? Whenever you enter a trade, you should not care about the outcome, as I said. You should always feel the same, no matter the outcome, okay? And that goes for waking up every single day as well. So whenever you wake up every day, you should feel the same, right? You shouldn't be caring about, oh, do I want to take a trade today? Or will I get to take a trade today? Will I get a win today? Will I get a loss today? It doesn't matter, right? You just open the charts, you look for your A+ setup. If you see it, you take it. That's all. You don't care about the outcome. You don't care about your feelings, okay? You don't care about what you think, what you anticipate, what the EMA is, or what indicator you use, okay? You shouldn't be caring at all, okay? So why is that? Because the market doesn't care about your intelligence, doesn't care about your confidence, doesn't care about your ego or whatever. Okay, it doesn't care if it hurts your feelings. What it cares about is that it can do whatever it wants. Okay, the market is a pool, a whole ocean of uncertainty. Okay, you need to understand that you can't control the market. You can't push the candles down or up as you want. The only thing that you can control is, did you follow your rules? Okay, so you need to accept the uncertainty in the markets, and the markets reward nothing else than pure discipline and pure consistency. Okay, that is how profitable traders make their money off the markets. Okay, so you need to detach yourself from the P&L of every single trade. So you shouldn't be caring about the market fluctuations during your trade. Okay, and as I said, you shouldn't be caring about the outcome at all. Okay, the one and only single goal in trading should be following your rules every single time. Okay, so accepting the good and unavoidable losses is also a very important part of trading, because as I told you, or as I explained to you in one of our previous lessons, there are two types of losses, right? There are good unavoidable losses, which are all the losses which resulted from you taking your trade, which resulted from you taking your A+ setup, okay, following every single rule. Okay, there will be losses, and these losses are good losses because they are unavoidable. Yeah, these are the losses where you followed all your rules, you followed your A+ setups, so that is basically fine. That are good losses. Okay, the bad and avoidable losses, though, they are the ones where you revenge traded, where you over leveraged, where you over traded, okay, where you jumped to another strategy, okay, randomly, where you randomly scalped because you thought, oh, I saw this big move and I don't want to miss it, right? Where you FOMO'd in. Okay, these are the bad and avoidable losses. Okay, so you need to avoid these bad and avoidable losses at all costs, because every time you take a bad avoidable loss, you train your brain into this habit of taking these bad avoidable losses over and over again. So what I mean by that is, every time you take a bad and avoidable loss, you train your brain into that, or you rewire your brain into building that habit of taking those bad trades, and you don't want that, right? You don't want that at all. And to do the opposite, you simply just don't do that. Okay, you just, what can I say? You simply just don't take the trades that you shouldn't be taking, right? And by doing that, you train your brain into building that good habit of avoiding bad and avoidable losses, right? So a very good analogy that I want to tell you is, you just need to see the market as an invincible opponent, right? The market is invincible. What does that mean? I'm sure you know that game Street Fighter, for example, okay? Let's just imagine you're playing your character in Street Fighter, and your opponent is the market, okay? Any market that you're trading. And that opponent has an infinite health bar. So anytime you punch it or you kick it or whatever you do to the market, its health bar doesn't take damage at all, okay? Because it has an infinite health bar. So what does that mean is, please never fight the market, okay? If the market shows you something, for example, if the market is bullish the whole day, don't fight the trend, okay? Don't try to be that smart guy who takes the reversal at the top, right? Tries to top take that reversal. No, if the market was bullish all day, you should look for bullish entries, okay? You should look for your A+ setup in the bullish direction, okay? Same goes for if the whole day was bearish, you only look for your bearish A+ setups, and you don't try to fight the trend, okay? That is very, very important, okay? And as I said, whatever the market does or does not, please don't take it personal, okay? The market is not here to take your money. It's not here to like inflict damage to you or whatever, because the market does whatever it does, okay? The market does whatever it wants, and you just need to follow your rules. That is the only thing that you should be caring about when you are trading in front of the charts, right? And just hold your expectations low, okay? Just never expect something from the markets, right? As I said, every single day when you wake up, you should feel the same, and you should set your expectations to 0, okay? You should not be expecting to take a trade. And if you take a trade, you should not be expecting a win. You should not be expecting a loss. You should not be expecting a break even. You should not expect anything at all, because everything doesn't matter at all except you following your rules, okay? And that is the one and single most important lesson I want to teach you in this trading space, in this whole trading space, yeah? Because most of the people overcomplicate it, man. You just need to follow your rules and basically not care about anything else that happens in the markets, outside of the markets, whatever, okay? And yeah, that's basically it, right? You also need to slow down a little bit. What I see, what most unprofitable traders do is they just over leverage. They try to speed things up by over leveraging, for example, okay? That is actually leading to the opposite result. So over leveraging makes you attach yourself and your ego more to your trades. You want that one trade to be a win because you risked more than usual on that one single trade, right? So that's why your subconscious mind, your ego wants that trade to win because you risked more than you should have on that one trade, right? Yeah. So yeah, that's basically one of the more common reasons as well why most of the traders out there blow their accounts. And yeah, basically what I also see in most of these unprofitable traders is that their strategy is not refined enough. Okay, what do I mean by that? So they just take too many trades. They didn't like refine their strategy to only take A plus setups. They take A setups, they take B setups, they take C setups, right? And that means that their strategy is not only taking high quality trades as they should, but they think that taking more trades is, or that taking more trades means more speed in trading, but it's actually the opposite, okay? Let me tell you, or let me clarify one thing. The more trades you take, the more you are exposed to the markets, okay? Think about that, like in this perspective, or from this perspective. The less trades you take, the less you are exposed to the markets. What does that mean? So let's just apply simple logic, okay? The market is unpredictable and uncertain, right? So what does that mean? The more time you spend within these uncertain and unpredictable markets, the more likely you are exposed to that market taking money from you, right? So in order to avoid that, in order to become more profitable in the markets, you need to actually minimize the time that you are exposed to the markets. And how do you do that? You do that by refining your strategy to such a degree that you only take high probable A plus setups. So you take less trades, and you have less time spent within the markets, right? So that is exactly how you become more profitable. If you take less trades. And most people don't understand that because they think trading is like a 9 to 5 where when you work more, or when you do more, or when you have more charting time, you actually become more profitable. But it's exactly the opposite. Okay, trading is one of the, or like the single thing in the world, the single business in the world that does not follow the standard rules of every other business, where if you put in more effort, if you put in more work, you get more results, right? But trading is the only thing in the world where it's the exact opposite. If you do less, it will be more, okay? That is very important for you to understand. So, and yeah, just stop identifying yourself as a trader. Yeah, what do I mean by that? Many people attach their ego and their identity to trading way too much. What do you mean by that is, for example, if you're a Walmart or a Target employee, okay, every single day when you wake up, you don't tell yourself, hey, oh, I'm a Walmart or Target employee, right? But what I see with most traders is they wake up and they tell themselves, yeah, I'm a day trader. I'm going to quit my 9 to 5. And they just attach their ego and their identity too much to trading, right? And that is not good, because they then subconsciously put immense pressure on themselves. And that is not good in trading. If you have pressure in trading, it's not good, okay? Let me tell you, if you trade from a bad situation in your life, if you're currently broke, if you're want to quit your 9 to 5, if you solely rely on trading and nothing else, and you need to make trading work as fast as possible, that is the worst position that you can trade from, because then you put subconscious pressure, immense subconscious pressure on your mind, and that will only be bad for your trading, okay? Because that leads to emotional and unlogical decisions in the markets, okay? And you don't want that. What you want to do, or what you want to have as a profitable trader, is a clear mind, is pure clarity, right? Emotional calmness, emotional balance. That's what you want to have when you are in trading, okay? You don't want to be an emotional trader. You don't want to be an dependent trader, okay? Because being dependent on one single trade, as I told you, is very bad for your psychology, very bad for your emotions, leads to revenge trading, leads to over leveraging, leads to over trading, and all of the negative stuff in trading, right? So yeah, that was basically all the things that I wanted to tell you in this episode. It was a little bit longer than I wanted it to be, but I hope you understood everything, because yes, as I said, this lesson is very, very important, because you need to shift your identity. You need to fill that gap between your current self, your current identity, and your future identity of being an unprofitable trader. And you need to apply that basic concept of being, doing, having, right? So in order to be, yeah, you need to do the things that your future self needs to do in order to become that profitable trader, and in order to have all the things that this profitable version of yourself wants to have, which is the payouts, which is the funded accounts, or whatever you want with trading, right? So yeah, that's basically it, okay? That is end of day number 9. I hope you made it to the end of this video. And if this video was insightful for you, please comment the word insightful below this video and let me know in the comments what you think about this lesson, about this episode. And yeah, I hope to see you again in day number 10, okay? Tomorrow I will drop day number 10, and stay tuned. I'll see you then.